Okay, before we move on to the next property, I wanted to make sure you got the previous slide correct because I know I've been throwing a lot of properties at you. This is the first one that is really new. So for the first example, you should have had x to the fourth minus 6, which would give you x to the negative 2. Since it's a negative exponent, we move it down to the denominator and make it positive, giving you 1 over x squared. Here, you would first have to divide your coefficients. These are not your base, not your exponent numbers out in front. So you have 12 divided by 3, which is 4. And then 7 minus 10 for the exit. And you get negative 3. Notice the 4 is by itself. It is positive. There is nothing on it. Therefore, it's going to stay in the numerator. I don't have to move it. It's not negative. I'm going to move the x to the negative 3 to the denominator so that way I can make that positive. Therefore, this would be 4 over x to the third. Hopefully you got this right. If not, I can do more examples. There is a spot at the end for you guys to practice a little bit more and then ask questions if you guys are getting stuck. Okay, great. I hope you understood this. Let's move on to the next property. Power property. Power property, what I want you to write out in front is basically, it is very, very similar to the distributive property. It's basically distributing the exponent. So this number out here is going to have to go into everything that's inside the parentheses. Remember, with the distributive property, you're multiplying. So that is what we're doing. I like looking at the power of exponents as a step down. For example, when we were multiplying two x's, we ended up adding, step down. When we were dividing, we ended up subtracting, step down. Here we have a power, so a step down would be multiplying. This is just the way I look at it, is kind of level down. So here, again, it's like the distributive property. I have to distribute it into the parentheses, which gives me 2 times 8. What is 2 times 8? 16. Very good. So we would have 8 to the 16th power. Again, negative 4 is outside the parentheses here. I distribute it in. We have negative 3 times negative 4, which gives me a positive, what? Perfect, 12. Okay, so this is more of the product, so I'm going to keep going on with it, and I'll save this last product for after we practice this. So here is just examples of what if I have more in here. But as I told you in the beginning, all you're doing is like the distributive property. So it has to go here, has to go here, here, and here. Everything in here. So the 4 gets brought to the third power. The x, 3 times 3. When there's not an exponent, what's that number? 1. Perfect. So this is 1 times 3. And then this is z, 1 times 3. So your x's and y's and z's are the easy one. 3 times 3 is 9. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 3 is 3. And so now you're left with this 4 to the third power. This is not 4 times 3. This is a coefficient. So just like every other exponent rule that we've had throughout these videos, we have done what it says, so to speak. We had 12 divided by 3 on the last example. That was 4. If I had 12 times 3, that would be 36. Here we have 4 to the third power. That is 4 times 4 times 4. All right, so now what I want you to do is put that in your calculator and find what is 4 to the third power. 4 to the third power is, hopefully you found it, 64. And that is how we simplify the power product. So here, this one is a little challenging because it's going to put everything together. You're going to have 7 to the negative 2, x